just drive the 127?
Um, for the most part, that's my bidded schedule. But I can sign up for overtime, and they'll give it to me whenever I need it. Just about.
Gotcha.
So
I hadn't seen you in a couple of weeks. Because I wanted to write this story and then I didn't see you for like a week and a half. Were you still working and I just missed you? Or
yeah.
did you have some time off?
Well, on Thursday, I think you talked to me on Tuesday. Then on Thursday we were out because of the hurricane, and I'm off over the weekend. I did work Monday through Thursday this week.
Gotcha. Well, I probably just missed you.
Yeah.
We only ride like 3 times a week.
Yeah. There's one other 127 in the morning. Her name is Lily, and in the afternoon, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's Livia, I think. But he usually drives in the afternoons.
Yeah. So how did you start your Happy Holidays tradition?
Well, I've heard on the radio that they every now and then will have a holiday for the day, and I decided to look into it, and I decided to look into it every day and pick a holiday from whatever was listed that day, and just tell everybody have a happy holiday. I figured it was a good way to cheer people up. One of my favorite Bible verses is laughter doeth good like a medicine, but a weary spirit dries the bones. So I try to lift people up as much as I can.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. It definitely does
Thank you.
lift me up. And somebody that I was talking to yesterday told me that you started to learn them in sign language.
Yeah, one of my passengers is deaf, so one of the first things I do in the morning is when I find out what holiday it is, I try to learn it in sign language so I can tell her. And she usually laughs at me when I tell her, and she'll get off the bus and thank me.
Aw, that's so sweet. So why do you say good morning all day?
Well, I was a nurse for 30 years, and for most of those 30 years, I'd work night shifts. So when I come on in the afternoon, it was my mornings, and I would make it as a joke, and it would make people laugh. So I took it throughout the rest of my day and life, and it makes people stop and think, and sometimes they'll try to correct me, and I say, "Well, it's morning somewhere," and that usually brings them to laugh, and it's another way to make people smile.
Yeah, exactly. The first time that you said good morning to me, it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I said good morning back just automatically, and I was
Yep.
like, wait a second.
Most people do that, and sometimes they'll stop and say, "Hey, you got me there."
Yeah, it's great. Just another way to switch things up a little bit.
Yep.
So you are a nurse for how long?
I was a nurse for 30 years. My wife was in the hospital in 97 and told she'd never walk again or never have any children. Or not, sorry, not 97, 91. And our pastor began, all his friends up and down the East Coast that were running churches were praying for her. And she was able to walk out of the hospital, actually. And then our son was born in 97. So that's when I saw her in the hospital and I saw how they cared for her. I was thinking that I would have to also be able to take care of her. And I went on and became a CNA, and then a couple years later, I became a LPN, so I could care for my wife.
That's amazing. Did you work like just personally for her? Did you work in a hospital?
Um, my first job was in the hospital. It was right out of nursing school, and 6 months later, they fired me for not having enough experience, which was really odd to me. So, for the first 10 years, I did mainly private duty. For my second 10 years, I was also driving school bus. What happened was one of my patients had passed away, and they didn't have any other cases for me. So I saw these signs saying they're gonna pay you to learn how to drive a bus. So I liked it so much, I stuck with it for 9 years before going back to nursing again for a couple years. And then we moved up here because I was working at a prison as nursing, and they closed the prison I was working at. So I moved up here to keep my job with the state, and then they fired me again. They also fired a couple of the supervisors that were trying to get them to hire me back because the way they fired me was wrong. And I got the job driving the bus again. And after the people that were working there that had fired me had been fired themselves, and the new director of nurses was someone I trained, and he hired me right back. So
So you've been back and forth for years and years.
Yeah.
Where were you from originally?
I'm from Southwest Florida. I was born in Fort Myers, and we moved to Naples when I was 7, and we lived in Naples until I was 43. I met my wife down there, and we lived in her parents' old houses.
And now you're in Gainesville.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, no, I live in Lake Butler. I just a few miles from the prison I was working at when I got fired. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, what is today? What holiday is today? Did you look it up? It's Friday.
I did. I'm not working. I can't remember what it is offhand. Oh yeah, Apple Cider Day.
Cider Day.
Yeah, I still have it up on my phone, so I looked it up real quick.
Nice. And how long have you? You may have mentioned this, but how long have you been doing the holidays?
I probably at least 7 years. I don't remember exactly when I started it to do it every day, but when I would remember in the beginning, it took me a while to remember to do it every day. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking it's been about 7 years. I remember the first time another driver mentioned it. I was driving the 35, I believe, and as I was coming out of Wrights Union, another bus, I think it was Route 1, was coming up Center Drive, and he got on the radio and told dispatch, "Can you let that driver know that he has Happy Holidays on his header?" So dispatch got back with me and told me, you know you have Happy Holidays on your header. And I remember what day it was still. I said, yeah, of course, it's National Pepperoni Pizza Day. And there was I don't think the dispatcher knew what to say about that, so there was silence on the radio. So that's been a few years. I haven't driven the 35, and it's probably been about 4 years now. So.
Wow. So do you do the same holidays every year, or do you try to switch it up from year to year?
I really don't know. I look at the holiday for the day and I pick my favorite one, because there's several holidays for every day.
Yeah. So what about big holidays, like on Halloween? Did you use Halloween?
On Halloween, it's also Reformation Day, and I prefer that to Halloween, so that's what I was wishing everybody.
Gotcha. But you always just pick your favorite?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like today, the other holiday is Occult Day, so that's one I wouldn't really use either, because I'm a Christian, so.
Yeah. So, you mentioned this briefly. As a bus driver, like, I don't know, your job could probably get boring, and you don't have to be nice or friendly, so why do you?
Well, because I know how I want to be treated, and one of the most important things a Christian should do is treat others like you wanted to be treated. So I try to treat other people that way. When I call it dumped on by another customer because they were angry about something, I try to be calm and straight in my face, but I think they can see this disappointment in my face, but I try not to say anything. Mm-hmm. Just let them vent.
Yeah. Do you think that your Christianity plays a big role in your job?
I think it does. I think it plays a big role in most of my life. I try to follow Jesus whenever I can.
Gotcha. Let's see what else. What is your favorite holiday, like, that you can remember?
My favorite holiday, it used to be Thanksgiving, because I used to eat a lot, but as I've gotten older, I can't eat so much, but I still like Thanksgiving. It's still my favorite, I think.
Yeah.
and I
Do
get
you
to.
have any family traditions?
We always go to my parents' house, but we lost my mom this past February. But my sister's gonna try to keep up that tradition, and we're going to visit with my dad that day.
Oh, so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thanks. And
I
it's
hope
been a
you
rough
guys still
couple
have a
years.
good. I'm sorry.
It's been a rough couple years. My mother-in-law died just over 2 years ago. Then we lost my mom in February and my wife in August.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's been rough.
Yeah. I hope that you guys are able to have a good holiday together, though.
Yes, thank you. You too.
Thank you. Um, so, have you received any like formal compliments, like through RTS?
Um, not. I don't think. Well, yeah, there was one time they said they someone said something to me about another driver, and I gave them a couple of these comment cards that we're allowed to give out, and she filled one out for me too, and they they gave me a gift. It was an over the shoulder like type of, I don't know what to call it. It was a bag that I could put like a clipboard in or papers, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now they give out a plastic cup, and they tell you somebody said something good about you, and they'll
Cool.
show you a copy of the card.
That's awesome. I didn't know that they did that.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but occasionally I'll see other people getting them too.
Yeah. Have you like made any personal connections with any of your like any passengers that ride most days that you're driving?
Yeah, there's a woman that works for UF that she actually gave me a Christmas card. She wasn't even a passenger of mine. She's just someone I would wave to on the sidewalk. And she stopped me at the stop sign that she waits for her ride, and she gave me a Christmas card. And after that, I told her that she doesn't have to walk around the corner. She could ride with me because it's about the same time I take off when she passes me. So she's been riding with me, and we talked for that 2 or 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's right now there's another couple passengers, students that will talk to me while we're riding or while I'm sitting there on Second Avenue. I don't know if you ride in the afternoon with me very often, but they're at Second Avenue. Sometimes I have a pretty long layover.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Why do you have to stop there?
we have a schedule to stay by, and if we leave early, we get ahead of schedule, and people might get to the bus stop and miss the bus if we're too fast. So they prefer us to be a little bit behind, if at all, off schedule. So I sit there. I usually wait till 4 minutes after I'm supposed to leave because when I get to sorority row stop, I'm supposed to be there at a certain time and I'm only supposed to drive through. And if I leave any more than 4 minutes early, I'm always there early.
Gotcha. Interesting. I've always wondered that.
Yeah.
So you have people who talk to you while you are sitting there waiting?
Occasionally, I get to learn about what they are studying to do or what they plan on doing with their lives after they get out of college.
Mm-hmm.
One that's been talking to me recently, she's going to pharmacy school, and I got to tell her that I made a lot of pharmaceutical friends because of my job as a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's awesome. Um, so what do you do in your free time when you're not working? What are your special interests?
well, I used to try to take my wife somewhere. Like there's a waterfall north of Lake City that we used to go to occasionally. We'll take weekend trips to other places, national parks where I could push her in her wheelchair. Towards the end there, she was getting weak again and wasn't able to walk for very long. So we'll do things like that. This time of year, I'd pick someplace to go every weekend to look at Christmas lights. Like we'll go to St. Augustine for the trolley ride there one weekend. Would go to Stephen Foster Park one weekend. Just different things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. What church do you go to?
I go to Sardis Baptist Church in Worthington Springs.
Gotcha. And do you have like a good community there? How involved are you?
Yes. Well, in the mornings before church, I help out by setting up chairs and blowing off the sidewalk of leaves. But a lot of times lately, the chairs have been set up before I get there. So, and then after church, I'll set up chairs for the next function. I'm involved in other ways too. Awanas, the Awana program is a big program we have there. We have over 100 kids that come and learn about Jesus and learn
Oh,
Bible
wow.
verses. We have a game time for them, and they're studying for a Christmas play right now.
Uh-huh. That's awesome.
And
I
then-
went to Awana when I was little. So.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I took both my kids when they were little. When I was growing up, we were Lutheran, and Lutherans didn't have that type of program for the kids, so I didn't know about it until after my kids were born.
Yeah. All right. So that's all of the questions that I had listed out. If I think of any more, can I just text you?
Oh, sure.
Awesome. I'll be working on the story all weekend probably. So.
Okay. And there's one other thing about my church. When
Yeah.
my wife passed away, I had 4 different people from the church come visit me and bring me food that same day. And then another neighbor across the street brought me some food. And a couple days later, some more people from the church would bring me food too and visit with me. So that was
Oh my God.
a nice thing about my church.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you have that community
Yeah.
to fall back on. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking to me this morning.
Thank you for interviewing me. It's an honor.
Of course, and I'll let you know how everything's going when I'm finished with it. So,
Okay.
thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. God bless.
Bye.
Bye-bye.